is a dangerous podcast. How's it going, everybody? I'm Ian Alley Seals, your host. I'm here with John, Jules, and our special guest host, Jen. How you doing, everybody?
Hello.
Yeah, that's not Jason.
Oh, no.
I'm going to confuse
Jason
everybody.
will be here soon. Sorry. Yeah, we have John, Jules. Jason will be here soon, and we got Jen Holmes. How's everybody doing today?
Call Jason.
Doing good. Anybody wants to call Jason, there's his number. Ask him where he is.
Well, good to see you guys. We've been. It seemed like it's been.
Oh, you gotta
we've
turn
been
that
living
down.
over in Connecticut. Here, we've been having Seattle weather for the last week, and then suddenly it turned into the tropics. How's everybody handling it?
Fine. I'm not going down in it.
Are you talking about the flooding? It sucks.
Yeah. It's been pretty rough.
It's horrible. I don't know if anyone else here has an old house. Well, I do know some of you do, but flooding and this kind of weather does not agree with old houses.
Does your basement flood?
Big
Yeah,
time.
mine. I'm so lucky. I have the driest basement on planet Earth.
Really?
Jen,
What year was your house built, John?
47.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, Jen, I realize that I'm new to home ownership compared to you.
Yeah.
You've had a house for a very long time. But there's a trick that I learned as a new homeowner for flooding basements, which everybody write this down. It's a life hack. When it rains, don't look in the basement
Right.
for about 4 days. Until about 4 days after. If you don't do that, it never flooded.
That's a good idea.
That's
yes. Pro tip.
yeah. Life coach right here, everybody. Life coach Alley Seals.
Huh?
So how's everybody doing?
What?
I got good news. I saw waiting on Facebook here before we went on. Mark Zuckerberg posted that Facebook is giving away $1 billion to people who create original content on Facebook.
You mean like us?
Like us?
I figure we're entitled to maybe half of that. At least,
no more. No more than half of that.
So I think our ship has come in. I think the hard work has paid off.
We have some loot comments.
We're getting comments
here. Can we get the moderators to moderate?
I thought that went against Facebook community standards.
Yeah, we definitely can't let that get in the way of our money.
That on.
No, come on, get that off the screen. people are putting lewd comments about the lovely Jen Holmes right now. Keep it in.
That's her husband. He can write whatever he wants.
Not on this podcast, he can't. I mean, I guess he can. I guess anybody can do anything. So we got Jason here in a minute, but let's talk about what we're going to be talking about. This is a dangerous podcast, and on this podcast, we talk about movies that the world is in general forgotten, sometimes good, sometimes bad, usually bad. And today we're bringing up 1987's Masters of the Universe, starring Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella.
I want to know, did anybody watch this back in 1987?
Yes, absolutely.
I think I did.
In the theaters.
I think so, yeah.
In the theaters.
In the theater. So,
I can tell you where. I saw it in the state-of-the-art East Hartford Showcase Cinemas.
Yes.
Where we all lived and breathed back in the day. It is now a ghost theater, as all of the Showcase Cinemas were. But yeah, I absolutely saw it in the theater. Okay. I remember it.
Gareth did?
He's a liar. They didn't have that in Jamaica.
He-Man was everywhere. Everywhere there was human beings, there was He-Man.
This is a huge movie.
It was a giant movie. All right,
I'm going to Google that. See if there's an Odeon cinema in Jamaica.
Although
we'll clear this up right now.
Maybe saw it in the theater in Jamaica, but it was like in 2000, not in 1987.
Well, that's a point. What you're talking about there, Jen, is, well, I don't know. Never mind. When we end up watching Highlander 2, I'm going to tell my story of that. It's kind of a similar story. But
he doesn't know what was going on in Jamaica in 87.
Wow. Only what he tells me.
He's telling you this and you're not believing him. He saw like a year later. Okay.
He also told me he had to walk to school in the snow both ways uphill. in Jamaica, so
I mean,
I have my
snow.
doubts.
Everything's possible in Jamaica.
So let's, guys, do we want to just get right into this?
No, well, I got to talk. I mean, no. Before we would just get into it, there's a couple of things. This was why can't Dolph Lundgren make one movie that's somewhat in the ballpark of not shit? Like,
I know.
his movies. This was, by the way, all right.
Rocky
Rocky 3. There's an argument for, and from what I heard, he wasn't even an actor. He got, he was a. What was he? We were talking about it last.
He was a chemical engineer.
Chemical engineer, and he got somehow involved in this.
He's a smart dude.
Dolph Lundgren is really smart. Yeah, he went.
And
to
I feel
MIT.
terrible that he could be working in his field, doing good for humanity. Instead, he's making shittiest movies ever.
Let's note this, John. I'm going to stop you there for a second. We know he's smart. We know he's a chemical engineer. We've no idea what he was researching. He could have been researching the most terrible junk you can possibly imagine.
Yeah, he could have been looking to destroy humanity.
Things happen for a reason. Maybe we're all better off this way.
Yeah, John. I mean, we all, and I'm going to do a inverse of what we normally do on this podcast. Normally, at the end, I'm going to say, "What's your hot take?" But I have a kind of a thesis statement here that I'm going to make, and I want to hear what you guys all think as well. So, on what you just said Dolph Lundgren must have the shittiest agent in the world. I don't know about that. And here's my reasoning for that. This is a shitty movie, but I can't imagine anyone doing He-Man better than him. I'm not talking about
Christ.
Yeah, I'm not talking about there couldn't have been a better He-Man.
Have you ever seen the animated Masters of the Universe?
That's what I'm.
You couldn't pick. He didn't resemble, and he was like Jan Michael Vincent on steroids, like as an S&M guy. That's what this He-Man was. He's wearing a fucking cape and shit. All I kept seeing was Jan Michael Vincent.
How many Jan Michael Vincent?
You don't like Dolph as He-Man?
Dude, okay.
No, I'll tell you what, John, He-Man was always smiling. This guy was never smiling. He should have played Skeletor, is who he should have played.
No.
John, okay. I know how you feel. I'm going to say how I feel. Please let me own my own emotions here.
Why don't you ask me who should have played He-Man? But go ahead. No, if you want
to. No. John, who should have played He-Man in 1987?
I don't want to say.
Say it. Nope. Would it have been? I really want to know now. Who would it have been?
If I had my way in who could play He-Man, what's his name? It would have been
there's no one better. You can't think of anyone.
Oh, you had I thought you had this guy ready to go, John.
No one. It's Dolph.
Okay, John,
no.
keep thinking. Let me finish
my thought. In 1987,
come back to me.
In 1987, it was not like now where actors will spend like a year getting buff to do a movie.
That's what I said, Arnold.
Yeah. So in 1987, you have to pick from the guys who are already buff. You know what I mean? You have to be like, do you want Dolph Lundgren?
Do you want Schwarzenegger?
Do you want Schwarzenegger?
Do you want Stallone?
Do you want Stallone?
I think I'm going to have to censor my husband.
Yeah.
I'm the one putting all the comments.
Jules, that really brings up a point that I want to make a little bit later. We've left the era of filmmaking where a plot point can be this guy is huge. There's a scene later in the movie where the whole plot pivots on, man, Dolph Lundgren's a big ass dude and he's going to shove a statue over. And you're like, look at the size of this guy. We've left that era of filmmaking and I'm kind of sad about that.
Right, because everybody in every movie, it'll be like the accountant in the scene doing accounting and he's as big as Dolph Lundgren. It doesn't really make any sense.
So I do want to hear John's pick, but I actually feel Dolph Lundgren was fantastic as He-Man in this movie. He could have had a far better He-Man movie to showcase that, but I don't think Dolph Lundgren's his agent did a bad job here. I think Golan Globus, as they always do in every movie that they make, drops the ball. And now, this is something, Jules, I got to ask you this right now.
Yeah.
did Golan and Globus spend a lot of money on this movie, or did they do what they always did?
Wait, did we look this up?
Squander the money, just like they did with Superman 4. Did they just squander the money, absolute piecemeal, or did they spend a lot of money? At this point in A Dangerous Podcast, when looking at movies of this era, I can never tell whether they spent a lot of money on them. I know they spent a lot of money on Super Mario.
It's apparently $22 million.
Was that a lot?
But the way
in
the movie was,
1987,
it sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't have, the way the whole movie was designed, the fact that most of the movie takes place in the present day, at a very limited set of locations, okay, and they have one matte painting and one set, indicates to me that no, this was not, you know what I mean? Like literally, that was it. You have a limited set of real world locations, one matte painting, one giant set. That's it. And that's what you have to do to represent your entire crazy alternate world, fantasy world. And that doesn't strike me as big, even for 1987.
Sure. Now, before we get into the recap, I want to kind of set the scene of this era, because I remember it vividly. This is the era when they decided to start mining early 1980s properties to try to make a big movie. Can someone tell me right now, did this come out before or after Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Before.
It came out before. Okay.
I think.
Because it really feels to me, it emotionally feels to me like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was the first time that they ever really got it right. Like the people who do this stuff. That taking an old property, a kid's cartoon, and changing it into a live action thing. And I'm not even going to say that's a good movie. It is not a good movie. I'm not a fan of that movie, of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That was 1990.
Yeah, but it did do extremely well. And everybody was happy with it. Okay, so He-Man comes before this, and it may really kick off this era of let's take an old kid's cartoon and then try to make it. Let's make a live action, giant, big budget.
Can I tell you? Can I jump in with my choice of who should have played?
Of course, absolutely.
And this should be an obvious choice. I'm sure you're all thinking it.
Who is it?
Chuck Norris.
I just spit out my drink.
But now, John, like the answer is no. But now I need to live in a world where that movie got made.
Right. You could see it. He's got the hair.
By the power of Grayskull.
Yeah.
I can't do a Chuck Norris impression to save my life, but like, I mean, I guess legally.
Would you want to see that though? Really? Who?
I do.
I would see that
right now.
If it was like, I know, I really.
No.
Okay. So we kick off this era, and Jules has said this many times. I think it started with Super Mario Brothers, where you said this, and I've always felt this. It's this weird era when you are trying to recreate another property, and there's just this assumption that you cannot do it. That you cannot do it the way it is. Super Mario Brothers, you can't make this psychedelic weird ass thing with Italians jumping on mushrooms and clouds and throwing fireballs. No, we need to turn it into the scariest version of Blade Runner you can possibly do. That's obviously the only way you can do this. And Masters of the Universe is an exact realization of that. Where what is He-Man? He-Man Masters of the Universe is a sci-fi fantasy epic set on a exotic planet where it's swords and sorceries meets Star Wars, and it's crazy, and there's a giant skeleton villain.
I guess I can't switch
all sorts of stuff. Like, obviously we can't make that, so we have to cut it down and bring it into modern day LA. And one of the things that I do not understand this, guys, is they know they can do this. Star Wars exists. So why do every time they want to do something like this, they throw out the book and then redo it in a modern setting? Can anyone explain this to me?
I think it was all just money. They didn't have the money to do it, and short of giving Roger. Short of giving Roger Corman $22 million, I don't think he could. You know, I mean, either you're spending big Star Wars.
Sorry, Jules, sorry to interrupt. Jason's here.
What's up, guys?
So, sorry, Jules, I was interrupting.
Yeah, so either for $22 million, either you're giving it to somebody who knows how to stretch it, like Roger Corman or whatever, who would, you know, be able to squeeze every last penny and put it on the screen somehow, and it would still look bad, but it would be big or something. Or you're spending an absolute fortune on a big budget. I don't know. What were the big budget? Were the Conan movies big budget?
Well, that's what I was just talking. Like Milos Forman. I mean,
it was.
He did Conan at least in the right setting. He didn't bring Conan to Detroit or something like that. No, they waited for Beastmaster to do that. Which, by the way, guys, why haven't we watched any Beastmaster yet? I don't know. Low hanging.
Because it's not a movie, is it?
It is a movie series. But anyway, that makes total sense, Jules. I'm going to jump right in here, and you start He-Man, Masters of the Universe. Yes.
Can I start? I have a comment about the very beginning of the movie when they're introducing it and they're setting it up. They're talking about Castle Grayskull, and they don't go too much in depth, but they say if you control Castle Grayskull, you are all powerful. You control the universe.
Yep.
All right. So follow me here. What if God is really Skeletor who took over Castle Grayskull? Because like when you're all powerful and you control the universe, you're God, right?
Yeah.
So what if God is Skeletor?
What if God was one of us? John?
Right?
What if God was one of us?
Yeah, right. What if God was just one of us? Or Skeletor?
What if Skeletor took over the Castle Grayskull, became God, and has been sending that message to us through 1980s cartoons and Dolph Lundgren films? Yes, I think this
this is like a religious movie?
Yeah, I can't argue. And now we can't make fun of it.
No, it's sacred. It's wholly sacred.
Yeah.
Right.
No, we can, because we totally made fun of the Kirk Cameron movies. So.
That does set a precedent.
We weren't identifying Skeletor.
No, but Kirk Cameron really was, because if you are making reference to our Lord and Savior, I guess you actually are talking about Skeletor.
Well,
so, okay.
If we keep it up long enough, Kirk Cameron will make a movie where he has to explain that Skeletor isn't God. So we should just keep doing that.
So everyone, for the next 7 podcasts, we will be extolling the virtues of our Lord and Savior Skeletor. Thank you, everybody. I'm your high priest of Skeletor, Skeletally Seals, and welcome to our church. Okay, having said that, realizing the religious truth of the Masters of the Universe series, we open with exposition. John just explained it. He who controls the Castle Grayskull controls the universe. And they make an interesting choice here. They don't bring us into the middle of the action or the beginning. They don't introduce Skeletor or He-Man. They cut to the end of the war, as in Skeletor and He-Man have been fighting for countless eons, and Skeletor has won. He has won. He has conquered Eternia. And he's put the sorceress, who's kind of a bird woman, in a stasis chamber, like a stasis force field. He's won, and he controls Eternia. In like 8 days, he's going to rule the universe, because I don't know, they need to wait for the moons or something. Then the sorceress will die, and then Skeletor can be God. All right, there's our setup right there, and the only thing standing in his way is He-Man.
Can I just ask, did anyone else get My Little Pony vibes with the whole Eternia name? I mean, right? Isn't that a name in My Little Pony?
Well, it's Equestrian. I I think they're actually making
Equestria, Eternia. Okay.
So,
sorry to interrupt.
Around here, any of you guys bronies?
I'm not a brony. I've taken a lot of brony money. in my comic
Take a
book
lot of
days.
brony money.
Dirty,
I
dirty,
made
brony
a lot of brony money, but like
Dirty,
back when bronies was a thing. So I'm going to stop right now. I'm going to ask everybody, almost across the board, throughout the years of talking about this movie with people, if it comes up, the one thing everyone says, and I'm one of these people, is, yeah, but Frank Langella was really great, right? And Frank Langella, storied actor, great actor, plays Skeletor. And just like He-Man, I disagree with John. I honestly couldn't think of another 1987 actor who would have been a better He-Man than Dolph Lundgren. I honestly cannot think of someone who could.
I get why they picked him. I mean,
Yeah.
he's ripped. He's got the mullet.
There you go.
And
It
John,
was-
you didn't like Frank because you preferred Dolph for Skeletor?
Yeah, Dolph should have been Skeletor, but he's just a weird. He's just got a weird face, and with that like mullet wig, he just looked crazy. And like he's running, it's a total like S&M costume. And like I'm getting ahead of things, but when he's in modern day, running around with Courtney Cox, he just looks like he just got some S&M thing in San Francisco, and he's just running the streets. And
Well, but that's where he just blends in.
Universe.
That's why he just blends in. People are seeing people run like that down the street throughout all of San Francisco.
Yeah, depending on what city he's in, he may have blended in just fine.
That's exactly, Jason. Exactly. But we are getting ahead of ourselves. I want to talk about Skeletor for a minute. Frank Langella, wonderful actor.
But isn't he a little miscast? I mean,
I don't know.
No, you don't. No,
I know.
Pretty obvious.
But here's my
God, wait, who should play Skeletor then? Name names.
Dolph Lundgren.
besides
Dolph Lundgren and Chuck
Who
Norris.
would be your second choice? Chuck Norris would be Skeletor?
No, not Chuck Norris for Skeletor. Chuck Norris for
No, he
He-Man.
wanted him for He-Man. But can you really miscast people in a movie that's so bad?
Yes, you can. That's the thing.
Apparently they did. Yeah.
Jen, put a pin in that. Put a pin in that statement.
Okay.
I want to come back to it. But guys, rather than thinking about what could have been, let's talk about what was.
What is?
And let's go. Like, the reason Frank Langella was cast, besides he's a fantastic actor, is obvious. He's played a lot of villains in his past. He played Dracula. He's, there are obvious reasons why you cast him.
Who was he in Frost Nixon? He was like Richard Nixon.
He was Richard Nixon.
And Frost Nixon. He's a little, maybe not the right guy for fucking Skeletor. I mean,
Okay, Sharon has said James Woods.
I hate to give him any employment whatsoever, but
I was gonna say I kind of thought Gabriel Byrne maybe, but
For Skeletor.
But anyway, but we have Frank Langella, and John, your feelings aside, most everyone says, yeah, Frank Langella was really good.
I say, yeah, Frank Langella.
I don't know. What did you guys think?
It's not that he was bad. Wait, let me qualify that. It's not that he was bad, but his mask was like something you would get at the dollar store for $2.99.
Oh, so bad.
It was
That's
awful.
because it's a Golden Globus movie. I mean, the props and the set and the costumes in this were only slightly less shitty than Superman 4 because they were obviously like really desperate when they made that one.
When you put a great actor in such a silly costume, playing such a dumb fucking role, it's just like you can't help but feel bad for this guy. I mean, I hope he made a lot of money because you know what?
Sure
this is how many years later, and like people are still watching this piece of shit.
Yeah, like
now,
one of the things.
Sorry, I was saying it cost $22 million to make, but what did it bring in? Did we get that number?
17.
Ooh.
17.3 million. Yeah.
Yikes.
Oh, so then, like, one of the things that I can say about Frank
How did it
Langella,
make 17? No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, one of the things I want to say about Frank Langella in there, God, he's acting his fucking ass off in this thing. Like, he's trying so hard. You can say he's pancaked under this makeup, this horrible skeleton mask, and he's trying to do anything he can to emote. Like he passes his like staff from one side and he does this weird like finger thing drumming on his staff. He's doing whatever he can to get through the makeup and try to do something fun with Skeletor. And I just don't think he can. He is defeated. Like, and you think Frank Langella, he looks at this and he goes, all right, it's a kid's cartoon. You got this scenery chewing villain. We can have fun here. You know, we can have fun with this. We can make something good for the kids. It'll be fun, and I'll make a lot of money doing so. And he's trying, and he's defeated by this movie at every step. He's defeated by the script. You don't give Frank Langella anything good to say in this whole damn movie. And you should. He's Skeletor. Like, the devil has the best lines. He has terrible lines.
Yeah.
They give him nothing
Who had good lines in this movie? Who had good lines in this movie?
Nobody does.
Nobody, right? Oh, he's
Nobody
fitting
does.
right in. It wasn't like.
Right. So that's my feeling is that you've got a great actor who could have done a great job as Skeletor, but he's absolutely defeated by every detail of this. That's my feeling. What about you guys?
You know what? Go ahead,
Jason.
Sorry, Jules.
The director gives himself an uncredited writing credit for the movie, claiming that he rewrote it. So the question is did he make it worse or did he make it better?
Wait, the rewritten version was the one that was in the theaters?
Right. The director that's on there, uncredited rewrite by the director is listed on IMDb. So that's our mystery. So given this guy only directed 2 other things, and it's absolutely bizarre. One of the other things he directed were little video vignettes of Klingons talking to you at the Star Trek The Experience thing in Las Vegas or something. This guy has less work than we would have on IMDb, I think, at this point. It was pretty weird.
That's the magic of the 80s. Is you could be making a fucking home movies, and the next day somehow you got picked to make this major motion picture. I don't know. I don't think there was no sort of writing that was going to save this movie. It was just flawed from the beginning. It was, what's really tripping me up is that $22 million is a lot of money in 1987. What is that in today? I mean, that's got to be what, 40 million, 50 million?
I don't know, man.
I mean,
in today's dollars,
yeah, but that's insane.
I think somebody's walking around with 18 million. I really think this isn't a day and age where there wasn't accountability. It'd be like, oh yeah, what do you need to make this He-Man movie? It's got a built-in fan base. Here's $22 million.
Well, I wonder what they paid Dolph and Frank for those roles.
I hope a lot. I hope they both made a lot of money.
Hopefully that was 20 million of the budget.
And John, one of the points I'm going to make here, in defiance of the normal thing that Jules says, where it was flawed from the beginning, I don't think it's flawed from the beginning. Not from a everything else is like Super Mario Brothers. How do you even make that, or everything? This is guys with laser guns and swords on an alien planet fighting each other and fighting monsters and villains. There's nothing in there that is inherently uncinematic or unfilmable. You could make this if you wanted.
But the flaw is the flaw of it is the present day portion. That's the flaw. Nobody wanted the He-Man movie to be more than half present day. That's not what anybody wants from He-Man at all.
$52 million in today's dollars.
Yeah, thank you, Gareth.
See? I mean, you could have just listened to me. I said that. But it's nice for him to verify how smart I am. Thanks, Gareth.
Gareth, please don't back John up anymore. He doesn't.
No, stick around, Gareth. Don't go anywhere.
All right, so here we go. We're going to continue. Really quickly, Skeletor comes in, bring me He-Man. You then cut to the only scene of the movie I like. This is the only scene of the movie I like. So there's a bunch of Skeletor stormtroopers. That's what they are. Bullshit stormtroopers.
They were. That's exactly what I thought.
They were ripoff.
They were dark stormtroopers. They're stormtroopers in black, and they even had that talking into a radio kind of voice effect.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Yeah, they were the worst. And God, how do you make stormtroopers worse? They do it. So you got these shitty stormtroopers going around, walking through the desert, and then He-Man jumps out and he just starts fucking kicking ass. And it's the only good ass kicking movie in the whole thing. He's got his sword out. He's chopping people up. He's blasting people with blasters. He's kicking fucking ass. Then Tila and Man at Arms come out, and they just kind of look like they're from Aliens. Jules, do you get that? You get Aliens vibe from
Yeah, they
Man
did
at
kind
Arms
of.
there.
Yeah.
Jules and I have been doing a deep dive into the history of the making of James Cameron's Aliens, but like so were they, because they just gave him Hicks's costume. So and now they're blasting stormtroopers, having a good old. You have an actual He-Man movie for like 47 seconds, one action scene, and He-Man's doing cool shit. He's like blocking laser blasts with his sword and just chopping people up. It's freaking cool. They beat everybody, and everyone. That movie comes to an end. That He-Man movie is done. It shall never return. Sorry, everybody, because at that point. They meet a weird little ass hobgoblin.
Oh,
yeah.
He's the comic relief, or trying to be. But you really like that fight scene?
I did like that fight scene.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'll accept that. Look me in the eye and tell me that fight scene would not have been better with Chuck Norris as He-Man.
There's no way. There's no way I can disagree with you, John.
Thank you.
Not one way.
All right.
So I'm gonna. And also, could we change the actor who played Man at Arms, who I also think does a great job?
I thought he was wonderful. Honestly, no, I was going to talk about that. I thought he was the best. He was probably the most truest part to the cartoon.
Yeah,
he was like exactly like Duncan. He was totally Duncan.
He was great. But would it not be better if that guy was replaced with Lou Gossett Jr.?
Oh, you got me there, man. You got me there.
So we want to see this movie with Dolph Lundgren as Skeletor, Chuck Norris as He-Man, and Lou Gossett Jr. as Duncan. That would be a spectacle. That would be a sight to see.
Yeah.
If I could go back in time, guys, and cast these 80 movies, recast them with who I choose, man, every one of them would be $100 million guarantee.
Well, John, please put a pin in that, because at the end of this recap, I can give you a way you can. But anyway,
now I'm going to sit through the whole show.
All right. So we meet a weird ass hobgoblin named Gwildor. They just kind of find him right there. And correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I mean, that's what all the Skeletor goons were there. They were going after him. Is that what that was?
Yeah, because he had the key.
The key.
They want the key.
Yeah. And here I'm going to diverge again for just a moment. This is something I do not understand. Now, everyone know I don't hold He-Man, the old cartoon, sacred. I liked it when I was a kid. I owned Castle Grayskull, but it's not like this is I have He-Man posters anymore or still collect the toys. I don't care. But what I do know is what He-Man had was a long... Sorry, that could have been a dirty joke right there. No, He-Man had a extensive rogues gallery and character list full of interesting and awesome villains, some of them really cool, some of them really bad, as well as a ton of allies.
Oh my God, including
9 years old,
a wacky little hobgoblin comic relief named Orko. This character exists in the He-Man canon. He's one of the main characters. So obviously what you got to do is throw that character out the window, create an entirely new weird little ass hobgoblin character who's exactly the same, other than uses technology rather than magic.
It was like
Why? You already bought the rights to all of He-Man. Why?
How the hell are they going to do Orko floating? Are they going to put him like on the end of a broom handle or something?
No, you don't do anything. You make a weird ass little hobgoblin and you call him Orko.
That was a Kirkland Orko is what that was. That was Kirkland Orko.
I have to say, I was more of a She-Ra fan.
So here's our Kirkland Orko.
I'm surprised She-Ra didn't make a cameo. I bet they thought they were launching a franchise, though. Did anyone see the Easter egg? We can talk about that at the end, but did anyone see the Easter egg?
I didn't.
This is one of the first Easter egg movies, as far as I know.
So, okay, here we are. So we got Grildor, who is a like steampunk inventor, and he built an interdimensional key for Skeletor because all of his people are trusting, and he didn't figure out why not. And so he built an interdimensional key for Skeletor. Now Skeletor can, just conquer the universe. By the way, Albert says, he just put a comment. It was all about money. Orko cost too much. Most of the emissions were strictly budgetary based. Is that true?
Yeah, well, Orko in the cartoon, like, he was like a ghost. He was like floating around.
Yeah.
And here it was,
But what Albert is surmising is they had to buy each character individually, and that they didn't have the money to buy the rights to the other He-Man characters. Albert, I think that's what you're saying there, and I didn't know that's how intellectual property works.
It was just too expensive to do Orko because he was a weird floating ghost thing, and they didn't have any way to do that.
Sharon just said,
look at Skeletor.
Everybody, this is a really good comment.
How could they
Sharon just said, you can do Orko like a Jawa. And I'm sorry.
You can't just put a little guy in it.
Okay, I'm not dying on this hill. Jen, I'm sorry, you were interrupted. You were saying?
Oh, I just said it's based on how they did Skeletor's mask. How could they do Orko justice?
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good
saying. You call the crazy
spent money on anything.
Goblin Orko. We're moving on.
It should have been Skeletor's.
Okay, so Skeletor's goons barge in. They have a big old fight. Blah blah blah. Blasty blasty blasty. They end up in Castle Grayskull. Yeah, because there was a tunnel to Castle Grayskull. Sure, why not? They get there. Fighty. Blasty blasty. Kirkland Orko opens up. That's what we're just gonna call him from now on. Kirkland Orko opens up a portal. They all jump through. The key, which is kind of a cool little prop, looks kind of like a steampunk pineapple with some prongs coming off of it. It gets blasted, it gets dropped, or like they all jump through, and then Kirkland Orko throws a grappling hook out, grabs the key, goes back in. All right, where do they end up? 1987 LA, because that's where a He-Man movie should take place. Gotcha. Okay. We're gonna
Courtney fucking Cox right off of the Bruce Springsteen Dancing in the Dark video.
Wait, was this before or after that video?
Oh, this was
anyone
after.
know?
I think Dancing in the Dark was like 83.
Really?
Sorry, John. Say that, Jason, say that again.
Didn't the Springsteen video kind of like get her noticed in the first place?
I thought so, but I think she might have actually been acting before that.
We know she has because we watched Misfits of Science. Everybody.
Wait, she was in that?
Hell yeah! And also, I obviously am the only one that, while watching this movie, was doing my own fanfic in my mind, which was the Masters of the Universe Misfits of Science crossover.
Dancing in the Dark was 84.
Okay.
Wait,
the same year as Misfits of Science.
I thought she was born in I guess she would have been like 18. Yeah, I guess that works, right? She was born in 66, somewhere around there.
Sure. So now, really, guys, come on. Masters of the Universe meets Misfits of Science. Everybody with me on that?
Sure.
But let's do it another way. He-Man is played by Chuck Norris. Man-at-Arms is Louis Gossett Jr. Skeletor is Dolph Lundgren. And then we have the entire cast of Misfits of Science come in, and they have a big old romp. I think that's going to make $1 billion. Everybody? No? Okay. Albert, who usually answers all of our questions, just answered it for us. The whole movie was scripted to take place on Earth. Gary Goddard had to fight for the money to do the Eternity bookends. The proposed sequel was even shittier, with Skeletor as a shady businessman. The Van Damme movie Cyborg was the leftovers of the Masters of the Universe sequel.
No
the
way.
Big Dad was the same actor they'd cast to replace Langella as Skeletor. Oh my God, Albert, thank you so much.
Mind blown, Albert. Thank you so much.
Okay, but now can we throw away all of our other fan fiction? Can I please get the movie where Skeletor is an executive at Viacom? he causes the apocalypse. Please, I just want that movie. I mean,
Guys,
I know
we're really living
a terrible, shitty sequel, but that's all I want to see now.
I just want to say we are, as movie makers, adults in the wrong era, because if we were making movies in the 80s, you could walk into fucking you could write shit like that and you'd get a meeting with fucking a top executive.
I bet if we all got together, we would have got away with so much shit.
I know. Check this out. Skeletor is an executive, right?
So what? How much do you think we need
He-Man
for
is a
this
plumber.
movie, though? Ian,
Hold on one second. Jen, say that again.
How much do you think we need to make this movie? You know, maybe we could get some of that space billionaire money and
Yeah. I mean,
pay for
convince
it.
them to give us some money for this film.
If we
tell
get
them
the
we need
Canon
50
people,
million,
they'll greenlight it with a big budget, despite their bad track record.
yeah.
What was that?
If we get the Canon people to do it, it'll get a big budget for no reason, despite their bad track record.
Jules, it doesn't need to be this podcast, but at some point, can you do some research and tell us whatever happened to Canon?
Yeah, I will. No, that's a good idea.
Like, we've watched enough Canon movies at this point that I think we should.
But we still aren't Canon experts.
No.
But what I actually wondered was watching this. I wondered, is this the best Canon film? I feel like it might be.
It might be. It really might be.
It wasn't a whole bunch of errors.
I thought this is the least shitty Canon film.
It really might be.
The scenes led one to another in a logical fashion, and the rest of it, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't, it's a horrible movie, but I mean, we all know what we have to deal with normally.
There's so much, when I'm watching this movie, I'm constantly going, oh, fuck this. But I'm never going, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you,
I always know what it is I'm watching.
Truly
I'll tell
evil,
you,
Jeff
the
Bezos,
cartoon
yes.
really is all about the characters. And if you watched it, there was 1 billion characters, and they use so few. Gareth mentioned, how do they not use fucking Battle Cat? What the fuck?
Oh, no.
Because they blew their $20 million budget on 4 characters somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand Battle Cat because they just couldn't fucking do it.
Right.
I get that.
And they already tried. They already tried on Beastmaster to dye a tiger a different color, and that didn't work.
Painted a tiger.
Yeah, if they can do it in Roar, they can
Yeah.
Okay, we got to get back to Albert here. Albert just says it was a mess. Dolph could barely speak English, phonetically delivering a lot of his lines. They were going to redub him, but his contract allowed him 3 passes in ADR to get the dialogue right. Goddard shifted a lot of the movie towards Skeletor. Canon went bust. They owed. Well, we're gonna get more into this, but they owed money left and right when Superman 4 Masters of the Universe failed. They only had enough gas for a couple of mid-budget action films. He thinks Delta Force was one of them, and then it folded. Thank you, Albert. But Jules, we're going to get a deeper dive, right?
Yeah. Let's find out.
And thank you, Albert. As usual,
thank you.
You're awesome. Now, so here we begin. So fight, blasty, blasty. We're in LA. We watched that
recently.
We then get introduced to Courtney Cox recently. And Kevin, who is just, if anyone's watched Star Trek Voyager, it's Tom Paris. So we're just going to call him young Tom Paris from now on. Yeah. So young Tom Paris is a keyboard player in a high school band, and he's dating Courtney Cox. And so this is my favorite part. I'm sorry, everybody. This is my favorite part of the movie is, so we see Courtney Cox. She's moving to New Jersey. That's her character arc right now. She's moving to New Jersey, and she's leaving the fast food restaurant that she works in, or the diner where it's a cowboy themed. I don't know what it is. And she's leaving, and her best friend there says, hey, shouldn't you talk to Kevin? And she's totally like, I'm dumping Kevin. That guy's a loser. I got to move to New Jersey where I can make my way. Kevin's old news. Am I remembering this wrong? She was really dismissive of Kevin in that opening scene. And then at that point, from that moment forward, it's a swooning love affair between her and Kevin. Right? Do we forget that she was done with him? She was Splitsville.
She went to a sound check. You're not a musician. You don't understand how this works, Ian. Bring her to the sound check, and
it's all over.
It's like you're starting right over.
So Kevin picks her up, and he's got to take her to the airport because she's going to drive to because she's going to fly to New Jersey, and then Gareth just said, "How bad do we have to be to send a woman to Jersey?"
I don't know. Watch out, Jen.
Like of all the places in the world they could have scripted her to be going to start her life again, it was Jersey. You could have even not said where she was going.
It's like Connecticut's right there.
Yeah, she could have been going to Hartford. It would have been fine.
I got a question for Gareth. How bad does Jen have to be for you to send her to Jersey?
There's a line at the end of the movie Dude, Where's My Car? Where the aliens told the basically bad guy, I hereby banish you to Hoboken, New Jersey.
Exactly. I'm going to rewrite the scene better. What was her character's name? What was Courtney Cox? Julie.
It's New Jersey in the budget.
So her can someone please play Julie's best friend and like ask me, what I'm doing with my life right now? Somebody please. Jen, could you be Julie's best friend and I'm going to be Julie?
What are you doing with your life?
Renee, I need to start over. I need to go to a place where I can be me. So I'm going to Flint, Michigan. Goodbye, everyone. There you go. End scene. Thank you.
Flint, Michigan, of all the fucking places. It's the only place I could be me is Flint. Who is she? Michael Moore?
Sorry. But listen, we do know that Trenton makes, the world takes. So, All right. We've established it. And so now we know that Julie is Splitsville. She's out. And she does not want anything to do with Kevin, but she's still going to have Kevin drive her around everywhere today, including going to the cemetery to talk to the graves of her dead parents who died in a plane crash. We get really heavy, really fast. All right. And now they have to go to Kevin's sound check at like a school.
They kind of look like real gravestones. I kind of feel like they actually wasted that budget on just those gravestones because they were like real gravestones.
We could have had Orko.
Right, that's at least the beginning of the bucket. They could just start putting money in that bucket and get Orko.
Headstones are really expensive.
That's right. So, when they're at the cemetery, they find the key. They find the weird little steampunk pineapple key, and Kevin thinks it's a synthesizer because it makes noises. So, so Kevin goes over to. He goes over to the school dance, and then he ditches Julie to go to like the music shop down the street to talk to his friend about this weird little synthesizer thing. So he's going there, he's messing around with these opening interdimensional portals, so on and so forth. That's what gets the Skeletor people. They track him because they're going to go back there. They're going to find this key, and then we have the montage of our villains. It's kind of like that scene in Empire Strikes Back where they introduce all the bounty hunters. The bounty hunters, we don't need their scum. And that's where you meet Boba Fett and Bosk and that robot that will one day be voiced by Taika Waititi and everything like that. So imagine that scene, but way shittier. And that's the scene you got here. Evelyn presents to He-Man, presents to Skeletor. They're the bounty hunters. And you've got, you've got like, all right, what the hell are their names here? You've got Staurod and Karg and Blade, the most on-the-nose villain we've ever seen. His name is Blade, not to be confused with Wesley Snipes' Blade.
Were those real He-Man characters or no?
No, except for Beastman. And
I was wondering that.
And again, John, we put a pin in that before, and we're pulling that pin out right now. Again, they have a fuck ton of really good He-Man villains. Some of them are really lame because some of them are Mossman and Skunkor, stuff like that. But then you've got Jackjaw, who's this
on and on, dude. We can be here forever.
With like this metal jaw.
$52 million they were playing with. They should have been able to get some fucking characters. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's like 1,000 He-Man characters. 1,000. And the only one you can think of is,
right.
What is
Evil Lynn is the right.
Man. Also, well before this, we saw a much better Beastman. Did anyone think that they were just ripping off the ape creature from Big Trouble in Little China.
Interesting.
Gareth,
I could see
I'd
that.
like to hear your comments on that. Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah, and I thought that creature you just sub that guy in for Beast Man. He would have been great. But anyway, so you have
You know who should have played Beast Man?
Who?
Wilt Chamberlain. I'm just taking everybody from Bruce Lee movies is what I'm doing. Everybody who co-starred. The next character, whoever it is going to be Jackie Chan.
New film, Enter the He-Man. But
Enter the Eternia.
Albert has got this today. Blade was supposed to be Trapjaw. Thank you. The guy who played him wound up teaching Dolph Lundgren to fight his fight choreography and doubled Skeletor in the finale. Oh, that's cool.
Wow.
That a really good.
I'm glad. I assumed it was a double, but I was like worried that they were like dumb enough to try to get like Frank Langella to fight or something. I figured that might be on the table that they were. So
and then we
dumb,
find out like Frank Langella like fractured his spine in that fight, and like the lasting legacy of He-Man is that they maimed Frank Langella. No, I thought Blade was cool, way on the nose, but like I thought he was cool. So anyway, all right. So there you go. We've introduced our bounty hunters. They ambush Julie at the school dance. I'm going to talk about. Let's talk special effects for a second. I kind of liked their portal. I thought the portal was kind of cool. The little animation they did for the portal. I really liked when people would shoot lasers at the portal. Like gravity was weird and it would warp the lasers all around it. I thought that was neat. But then you get this scene, I swear, out of Scooby-Doo, where the villains are jumping out of the portal, completely confused, one after another. If you're not watching this at home, if you're listening to the podcast, I'm going to be acting kind of goofy right now. So here, this is my impression every time they come through a portal, and this works because I'm off screen. And then another one comes in, jumps in, and then looks into the portal, goes. It's so fucking lame. So bad. And so then there's fighty. They're trying to go after Julie. Julie runs away. She's running, going, help! And of course, He-Man's there to help. He-Man.
Julie. Well, first of all, like Julie is way too. They jump the gun with everybody's courage when it comes to these creatures coming out of another dimension. Which was that they were like, she first sees the monsters where they're like beating the crap out of like the janitor or something.
Yeah.
And she's just like, her first line upon seeing interdimensional bounty hunters beating up a janitor is, stop hurting him. What is that's literally nobody's reaction to that series of events, and that keeps on happening.
And let's be clear, who she sees hurting the janitor is a weird little goblin-faced guy with a fur cape and a hook hand and fucking Beast Man.
Right? Yeah, it was totally crazy. But then she runs out of the school and into an alley filled with junk and neon signs for pizza parlors. They had a neon person. They had a lot of neon in this movie. Like,
yep.
So
it was the 80s after all.
Yeah, in the 80s, like all the gaudy neon bright light colors were such a thing that like I was watching the effects with like there was several scenes with that lightning bolt kind of effect, and the lightning bolt was always like hot pink and bright green.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. By the way, John, Albert just had a really long comment. Could we bring that back a little bit later? I want to come back to this comment, if that's possible. Because I want to read that at the end, because there's a lot of really interesting trivia. Like usually, Albert's bringing it. So, all right, I'm going to jump through things pretty quickly at this point, as I always want to, but I think I can right now, because nothing interesting happens from this point on. Like He-Man comes in, he kicks a bunch of ass, Tila and Man-at-Arms, and they come in, they kick a bunch of ass. Kirkland Orko comes in, they get an old car, soups it up to be like the DeLorean, and then it's ion powered now. Oh no, neutrino powered.
But where did they get all that stuff?
I don't know, man.
He had tons of stuff. He had little devices, and he was making things. And where was he getting that stuff? I don't. It was confusing.
Did he put a booster on the car or something?
Good neutrino booster. Okay, so all right, here's our current issue right now. Everybody is that the key needs to be repaired, and when the code that you use is a musical. It's a melody that needs to be played, and they need to know what that melody is in order to jump back to Eternia. All right, everybody get this? Because they will mention this. They need someone to play the song like 47 times right next to young Tom Paris. They will do that all the time. Now, remember, there's only one character trait that young Tom Paris has. He's a musician. That's his only character trait. And Kirkland Orko will say around him, if only we had a musician. Like every scene, and he will never, ever put two and two together. Now we, as the audience, are like, I bet young Tom Paris could take care of this. I really bet he could. But he's not going to do that, not until the end of the movie. So hold tight. They also run into police detective.
That guy.
Yeah. That guy.
How many movies has that
James
guy
Tolkien.
been in?
James Tolkien.
That's his name?
You know him as the principal in Back to the Future, or the gruff military guy in Top Gun. I will say this movie gives more character time to Tolkien than any other movie does. They really kind of do that. Yeah,
then this stunning arc conclusion at the end.
Yeah, we'll get there. What I find kind of weird about this is, so he's interrogating young Tom Paris, and he's really worried. Where's Julie? Where's my girlfriend? He's like, all right, kid, you're coming with me, and throws. He's like, you're arresting me? No. I'm doing what you want. We're going to go find your girlfriend. And so he actually, for a good part of this movie, is doing the right thing. Like, he's not being an asshole. He's actively helping young Tom Paris look for his girlfriend while sounding like an asshole while doing it. Because he plays the character the same notes all the time as the asshole principal in Back to the Future, even when he's doing fine things. And so then Tom Paris goes to Julie's house, lets himself in, and answers the phone, and it's Julie. Can anyone explain this to me? He's answering the phone with Julie, and he immediately goes undercover and pretends it's not Julie. He's like, oh, hey, I don't know where you are. He has been actively going to find Julie with the cop. And now
why did she call her house? Who else, if her parents are dead, did she live in the house with? I don't understand what's going on.
I don't get this, but can anyone explain to me why he doesn't just immediately tell the cop, hey, oh, thank God it's Julie? What is he covering for? Anybody?
Just being a weirdo?
Yeah. He's a real weirdo. Okay.
No way to explain it.
I mean, that's something to cover, isn't it?
Yeah. Moving on.
But then the cop inexplicably becomes suspicious of his strange apparatus that he's carrying around the entire time.
He'll become a villain
because
an obstacle very soon.
And then the microwave blows up because Skeletor tried to
Skeletor blows up his microwave. No.
And then that's the point at which the cop is like, wait a minute, this is some funny business.
I looked up on Skeletor being a businessman. I want to see that so bad.
All right, we've established the characters. I'm jumping ahead. They all end up getting together. They all realize that they need to repair the key and go back to eternity and save the universe. They end up at the music shop, and so you got Julie and young Tom Paris and the guy who owns the music shop. And Tolkien and Kirkland Orko, they're all in the back while He-Man and friends fight the bullshit stormtroopers in the rest of the music shop. And so you have a big old fight there, zappity, 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 hackety, 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 fight, 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 fight. In this point, Tolkien gets really angry, and I don't know what he wants, but he really wants to mess things up. And so there's a fight there. And then Evelyn uses her Master of Disguise powers to impersonate Julie's dead mother, which is low, really low. Come on, Evelyn. I know your name has evil in it, but that's a bridge too far. Skeletor wouldn't have approved of that. That's a low blow. But anyway, Courtney Cox goes out to her, and her mother's like, I'm sorry that I needed to pretend to be dead, and we put you through all that. Your father's alive. Could you really please give me that key? We would like it, please. And so Julie runs back in. She's like, you won't believe it. My parents are alive, and I need this key. And she grabs the key, and she runs away. And now Evelyn's got the key, and all of the Skeletor people pull out. They're like, all right, we got the key. We out. And they bounce. I'm going to stop for a second. Let's take a breather, because we're going to jump to the end very soon. What have we witnessed, and what do we think? Any thoughts so far? Any interesting things anyone wants to say about this scene? All of our characters are together. They've been bonded by battle. Anybody?
Just about this scene?
Scene or what we've been talking about at this point?
My overall thought was that it's still better than Jiu-Jitsu.
It's far
very low bar.
It is, yeah. It is way better than Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
I had totally forgotten that we saw that.
I did too.
Oh my God.
Your mind just blocks things out, you know.
Yeah,
it's a way of protecting you.
Healthy.
Oh, Albert made a really good point. All the stormtroopers were robots because no one was allowed to be killed. Okay. I guess every time He-Man hacks one in half, it just kind of blows up. So I guess that reads.
It's just like G.I. Joe when they're using lasers, and like nobody really gets killed or anything. They're just like stunned from It's like, why is G.I. Joe using lasers? I understand why Transformers were using lasers, because they're space robots. Why is G.I. Joe using laser guns? I don't know.
Yeah.
Piss me off.
Yeah.
Just kill your enemies. You need like guns, or you need something that'll kill them.
Cobra's going to take over the world, everybody.
But it's like
G.I. Joe has that U.S. military budget.
I had this theory that the G.I. Joe was like a squad of like just lunatics that they didn't trust with deadly weapons. So they just gave them stun guns. They're just running around like, oh man, we almost got Cobra. All right, great, good job, Joe.
So Courtney Cox is manipulated and takes the key back to Skeletor's people. Then Skeletor comes to Earth for no particular reason. Doesn't need to. They have the key. Doesn't really need to. Fighty, fighty, fighty. Everybody gets captured, or not everyone gets captured. He-Man gets captured, and He-Man's about to start some ruckus.
He-Man surrendered.
What's that?
He-Man surrendered.
He-Man surrenders because Skeletor says, listen, I'm going to kill all of your friends. I'm going to kill everybody on this planet. Or he doesn't say that. He just says, I'm going to kill your friends. But if you come with me and be my slave, I won't harm them. And then, as an interesting villain note, he doesn't kill them. Like, he sticks by his...
Yeah.
Can I jump in real quick and just say, like, at the beginning, before the opening fight that we talked about at the beginning of the movie, Skeletor appeared in the sky, and he said this. He was saying the same thing. He was just like, "You must worship me and bow to me or be destroyed." Like, for me, I would do that. That's all it would take for me. If somebody appears in the sky and tells me that, you know, I need to work. That's all it'll take. That's all it takes for me to acknowledge.
That might just be another day in Eternia, you know. I mean, it might be
another
Skeletor in the sky making another
floating above.
Right, that might be more of a common thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like probably just janitors are able to do that. Jiffy Lube employees or whoever.
Excuse me, everybody of Eternia. I just want everyone to know there's a backup on I-95. There's a Minotaur that's crashed into a positron collider. Just everybody stay away from that part of the highway. Giant head out. You know, everybody's just used to it.
Did anyone ever see the G.I. Joe movie? They're still trying to like push this franchise. They're having like a Snake Eyes one, but I saw the first one in the theaters with some kids, and I think one of them was mine. But it was the shittiest fucking movie. Holy
I never saw it, Tom, but I really thought.
And then,
and
then they kept making them like years and years apart from each other. They made one with Bruce Willis playing. He's actually playing a character called G.I. Joe, I think.
What? I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, and then
G.I. Joe with Bruce Willis.
Yeah,
no, I'm getting tons of ad for that new G.I. Joe movie because
Snake Eyes, right?
You like bad movies, right? And I'm like, no, I don't actually. But so yeah, every time I turn on the TV,
are all screwed up, right?
Yeah,
you like shitty movies, you'll love Snake Eyes.
John, what I was going to say is I never saw the G.I. Joe movie, but I really felt that it was a spiritual successor to the Dolph Lundgren He-Man movie. Like, it's really just the Dolph Lundgren He-Man movie.
Its spirit is alive.
Alive and well.
Tell you that.
But yeah, I actually thought it was an interesting character point that that Skeletor doesn't just kill Courtney Cox and everybody at that point. And he says, He-Man has a code, and I need him to be my slave. So if I just leave these guys alive, it'll be fine. And so he does. Julia's been zapped, and she has this disgusting leg wound.
That was really nasty.
I've never seen special effects or makeup or whatever you call it like that for any kind of wound in my life. Like there was green stuff in there. It
was so gross.
No, it looked like she had pesto sauce in her leg.
Guys, can we agree? That was something out of Nothing But Trouble. It really was. So, okay. So, all right. So here's our thing. Courtney Cox is going to die unless they go to Bird Woman, the sorceress. She's going to fix her. And they've got to fix the key. But there's no way to do it, guys. There's no way because the song is gone. And they can, if only there was someone in this cast that could remember how to play music.
If only.
Yeah. Well. Young Tom Paris is a keyboard player.
No,
got it. Oh, we've only mentioned that 80 fucking times.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. All right. Now we got it together. Can we finally pay this thing off? All right. Kirkland Orko is going to fix the key. Tom Paris is going to play some jams on a keyboard that he's going to steal from his best friend. There you go. Cop Tolkien, he's going to come back into the frame. He's going to be angry, and they're going to open the door, and they're going to zap back into Eternia. Meanwhile, back in Eternia, He-Man in chains. He's been chained up. Skeletor becomes a god because now it's that time of day. He took the sword. He took the sword of Grayskull, put it into a holder or something like that. And all right, Skeletor's a god. He's now in a golden god costume. There you go. And all right, there's this kind of cool scene with Blade has a laser whip and he's just whipping He-Man, and the laser whip was kind of cool. I remember it being really cool from when I was a kid when I saw that movie.
Except for He-Man doesn't react to it at all. He's just standing there. He's just kind of standing there. Yeah, it doesn't really. But I did think, again, if we're going to make the ideal version of this movie, I did like that Skeletor, when becoming this new form and having the power of the universe, suddenly stopped caring about everything happening in the movie, which I think would be absolutely fascinating. That's how the plot plays out. Is that he gets the full power and knowledge of the universe and just literally just walks away.
Well, in this line, the people on this world, it means nothing.
Yeah,
it's nothing. We're like, man, Skeletor just got some perspective. Yeah. So, by the way, we're having some technical difficulties.
Yes.
Jen was booted by the internet, and John just walked away because that's what he does. But
so when John gets
one thing I want to point, and I was going back to John's just floating head discussion right there. So God Skeletor comes over the God speaker of Eternia. He's got his head glowing there saying, I am your God. I am the God of Grayskull. And I swear to you, there's like 3 people watching it. There's like 3. You remember this scene?
Yeah.
Like, you got the giant godhead floating there.
A little bit of a Wizard of Oz vibe.
Yeah, and there's like 3 people. Hey, John? Jen got booted.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, extras don't cost money. They don't cost a lot of money. We in our movie, The Stolen Mile, we have problems getting a lot of extras. They could have gotten a lot of extras.
No. Actually, if they don't talk, that's when they're really cheap. Because apparently what's that Blumhouse who makes all the cheap horror movies?
Yep.
Like nobody talks other than like the top billed actors, and that's because they can have as many extras as they want as long as they don't talk.
Yeah, but here's the thing I'm going to say. In that scene with the godhead floating saying, "I am your god now," the extras didn't speak. There's just like 3 people there. There are 3 people. So apparently there's nobody living on Eternia yet. Nobody. Why do we care about this?
Sparsely populated.
Yeah. Okay, can we just go here now? Like,
Eternia
our
is
heroes come
really,
in.
really rural, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So our heroes come in. Cop Tolkien, he comes around, he becomes a hero, he starts shooting stormtroopers with a shotgun, everybody's shooting everybody, He-Man breaks out, gets his sword, fighty, killy, and then we see that Skeletor is the worst fucking Skeletor god ever. He's just shooting force lightning all over the place, and he can only hit his own people. Only thing he can do. He can just hit his own people. And then he gets his cool battle ram staff, which is an awesome weapon. It's like the coolest design out of the cartoon. It's this long staff with a ram's head on it.
Carl was here and was just telling me that Mobius did some of the concept art for this.
For the movie or for He-Man itself?
No, for this movie.
Really? Whoa.
Yeah. So maybe he was responsible for that.
I don't know. So anyway, then you get the fight between He-Man and Skeletor that we've been promised. It's kind of, it's boring. Like, this goes back to Big Trouble in Little China again. Did anyone, the scene in Big Trouble in Little China, one of the most famous scenes where, like, Egg Shen and Lo Pan, they fire, like, energy blasts at each other, and the energy blast hits, and then they have, like, these shadow avatars of people, of, like, samurais fighting in slow motion. Everybody with me on this scene? Everybody remember this?
No.
It's fucking awesome. They use the exact same lighting in this shot. This, like, they're bathed in, like, purple and red, and they're kind of fighting in slow motion. Clang, 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 everything like that. And then He-Man smashes the battle staff. Was it mentioned that that's where all of Skeletor's power is? I don't remember it being mentioned.
I don't think so.
Okay, and then Skeletor's cool golden god costume disappears, and He-Man says, like, "It's over, Skeletor." And then Skeletor says, "Over for you," or something like that. I don't know. He pulls out his sword. They fight for a second, and then Skeletor gets thrown into a pit, which, everybody, it is exactly the same shot as the Emperor falling down the pit in Return of the Jedi, except a million years shittier.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's so, like,
it was super bad.
It's to the point of you're watching Frank Langella falling, and they have the ADR of him going, "Ah!" but they don't have his mouth moving at all. And so he's just falling and falling and falling, and there you go. And then that's the end. And the sorceress is out, Bird Woman. She heals up Julie, and then you get that shot of Cop Tolkien, and they're like, "You really gonna stay?" He's like, "Of course I'm gonna stay." And he's decked out in, like, Roman robes.
It's so funny.
He's like,
I got a woman.
A castle. I got a beautiful woman. This is retirement.
Why would I go back to Jersey? Huh?
Yeah. So,
they got chicks
why do you
in?
have to do She-Ra like that?
And then the sorceress says, "Hey, no. They are about to go back to Earth," and Kirkland Orko says, "Do you want to go to another point in time? I can send you to any point in time." Which they really didn't mention that at all ever. And they're like, "No, we just
way before.
Yeah, we just want to go home." And then Courtney Cox turns and goes, wait, send me back too. And then she gets pushed in. And then she wakes up Marty McFly-esque in her bedroom, and her parents are there, and they have not gone on the trip where they're going to die in a horrific plane crash.
Spoiler.
She grabs the plane tickets, she runs away. And then she meets her boyfriend, young Tom Paris, on the street, and he's like, don't let your parents get on that plane. She's like, I'm not going to. I would like to let you know they're going to let everybody else on those planes die.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do about that? What are you gonna do about that?
I know.
What are you gonna do?
Selfish.
Young Tom Paris can't figure it out, but he can call in a bomb threat to the airport and cause the whole thing to stop. He's just not gonna figure that out.
Well, you just figured it out. Right now. You just figured out what to do right now. And so then they're like, yeah. Albert just said, how did Gwildor know? How did he know? Like, they never told him to send him back like 3 weeks or whatever the hell it was. Or months. We don't know when her parents died.
He's a magical little troll. He knows all.
You didn't know the tune how to send them back to Eternia.
Well,
Needed
true.
young Tom Paris for that.
Don't try
And
to
then
make
there's-
sense
and
of
then
this
they look at
movie,
the
Ian. Don't try to
jewel.
make sense of it.
Oh, her dad. Albert's
That's right.
got this. Okay,
Yeah,
you didn't give them enough credit. Her dad was the pilot. It was a private,
Oh, it was just a
private plane. No,
private
their
plane.
civilians were harmed. Thank you, Albert. Man,
I
Albert's
watched
seen
this over
movie
a week
lot.
ago. I forgot like all of it.
Now,
When did you see it?
Yeah, in a week I'll forget this whole thing too.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
watched it
Last
last week because I thought we
Oh,
were doing this
right,
last
yeah.
week. Yeah.
so, all right, everybody. It then ends with they look at the jewel from Eternia going, this really happened. And then you dissolve to He-Man going like, I have the power. Roll credits. Albert just said that there's a post-credit stinger.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest
Did
with
we watch
everybody.
that?
I didn't watch the credits through.
Did we
Me
watch
neither.
it?
Either.
I didn't know those
No.
things happened back then.
This was one of the first. Yeah, this was one of the
So,
first.
John, can you
If
please
not
explain
the
to me
first.
what is the post-credit stinger?
It's just Skeletor coming out of the water or whatever the fuck he's in, and he goes, I'll be back. And he never fucking was.
Okay. Okay. John, do you have
I
that
think I
old
missed it.
do you have that old what's it, that comment that Albert made a while back in
I have
there?
everything. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Are we going back to my pin too?
Yeah, Jen, can we pull your pin now? What was that pin?
Well, it was just about cast. I said, is there really any way to wrongly cast such a bad movie?
And I'm gonna say yes. And here's where I'm gonna go with this.
Mhm.
The cast isn't the problem of this movie. Like, Albert's comment was the movie.
Well, go ahead with
Sure,
Jess.
sure. If you look at the actors in this movie, like, I kind of think they're cast well. Like, what's her name? The Evelyn as Meg Foster. I mean,
Yeah.
she's killing it. She's doing the best she can here.
She was good.
Chelsea Field as Tila, she's doing a great job. Like, I liked her. I didn't like her costume.
You want to sit next to me?
But she's pretty good. Like, hell, even Kirkland Orko, that's Billy Barty. He's this great actor. He was in Willow. He was in all these great stuff.
Oh.
I mean, it's a shitty character, but he's doing a pretty great job. John and I, for once, agree. John Cypher as Duncan is fucking killing it. He's got
he
this,
killed it.
like, chill
He was
Vietnam vet
absolutely
vibe
perfect.
going on.
He was just like
And it's easy to say, like, oh, could you have ever cast this movie wrong? Like, it's so shitty. Yeah, you could have. We watch a lot of
Yes,
these
they
movies
did.
where they do not cast this well.
You could have had Chuck
Lundgren.
Norris as He-Man.
Dolph Lundgren wasn't as miscast and the only thing he was more miscast in was the Punisher.
Okay, yes. Okay, I'm going to read Albert's comment now. The movie had its plug pulled 72 hours before completion. They managed to shoot the very end and the cinematic and the climactic fight. Goddard got the money and the studio to open up somehow to shoot, he thinks, a single day to get the sword fight between He-Man and Skeletor. Oh my God.
Wow.
What?
And dropped Langella into a water tank in full costume to shoot the post-credit stinger. Oh God.
So we mean we almost didn't get to witness this cinematic.
Yeah, I
life
guess
feast?
not.
And no, you know what the original ending of this movie was? Skeletor going into business school.
I'll be
Skeletor-
back with an MBA.
I'll be back.
My name is Skeletor, and I'd like to apply to Debrise. No, I think
See how you do
cast
against
this
me in a
badly.
court of law.
Jen, I think you could have cast this much, much worse. You could have done a much worse job with this. And like the one thing I'll say is that some of the actors are having fun. Like, you know, God, what's his name? The John Cipher is Duncan. He's given it his all.
I'm glad somebody was having fun because the audience wasn't having any fun.
None of us were.
Hey, well,
that's the thing with 80s movies is that they were made by coke addicts. They were written by coke addicts. They were greenlit by coke addicts. They were financed by coke. It was just everything was just cocaine back then.
was
Yeah, but
anyone else
I'm
thinking though that Courtney Cox went from this film to making $1 million an episode on Friends? Like, wow.
Oh, that was a decade later.
I know, but still, I mean, how many actors have been in shitty movies have gone on to be so successful? I don't know. Maybe there's a lot, but
plenty of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean okay, Albert's got some more trivia for us. One more fun note of trivia. Albert says Goddard was a massive fan of Jack Kirby. He wanted Kirby to do the designs, but the studio said no because comics are for kids. Despite that the movie was based on a toy line in the children's cartoon, it was a love letter to Kirby's work, especially The Fourth World. He tried to include a dedication in the credits, but the studio...
What, did they think this was a serious film for adults?
I don't know.
Well, the cop said like "holy shit" at one point. So what was this rated? I mean, so like they were obviously being like
the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s.
Albert say another great fact, guys. Listen to this. Frank Langella loved it. I'm really glad he did. He only did the movie because his kid loved Masters of the Universe, especially Skeletor, and his son fell asleep in the middle of a private meeting. Oh, God. That's harsh. That's harsh.
You imagine being like, on the set, being dunked into water and all this other shit, and you're Frank Langella, and you're doing it for your son, and he like falls asleep because he's so bored once he sees the final movie.
Oh, God. That's like, now this is that's almost as just depressing as Knights of Newgate.
Where the director lost his house?
Yeah.
He deserved it. No, I'm sorry.
Okay, John, we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back to that in a little bit. Easter egg. There's an Easter egg I missed. A huge Easter egg. What was it?
Oh, it was there was a cameo by John Holmes. He played He played Dong Man. No,
oh my God.
I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. Go ahead.
Was there no Easter egg?
What's the Easter egg?
I don't know. You said there was.
Oh, the Easter egg was the end of the movie credit with Skeletor coming up and saying, "I gotta be back."
Okay.
Because they thought they were launching a franchise. That was.
Gotcha.
But is it an Easter egg if nothing comes of it?
No.
I guess eventually it wasn't an Easter egg. Yeah, a good point, Jen. Yeah, you're right. But I just the gall of these people to think they're launching a franchise.
I mean, why wouldn't you like that? Like, I understand.
It really wasn't an oddly bad movie for its time. There were movies like this all the time in cinemas.
Sure, there were. But I do remember, like, again, I was the audience. I mean, I guess Albert was absolutely
looking as the glass half full. Van Damme Classic theme of it. Come on.
But I didn't like it. Like when I was a kid, when I saw it, I came away with a bad taste in my mouth. I was like, I really wanted to like this.
No, but like I said before, They could have solved the problem by giving this to Roger Corman. They could have given him $10 million. It would have made 17, and it would have been a franchise.
Yeah, there you go.
They've got their. Do you guys know that Kevin Smith is rebooting the animated series?
Yeah,
Yes,
I heard about that. I heard that there was some controversy over that because years ago he had tweeted something about he wasn't really into He-Man, and then he gets the job doing He-Man, and he made some statement saying, "Oh, I've always been such a huge fan of He-Man," and so a bunch of people on Twitter and YouTube were calling him out on it.
That's interesting
better
because
than to lie in this day and age. Come on.
I know it comes back to you.
Anybody
Right.
can find that out.
Things are on the internet forever.
Yeah.
You say something 11 years ago, they'll find it and they'll put it up. But I remember what's interesting about that. I'm going to finish my thought here. Is that I saw him like doing stand up, Kevin Smith, and he was talking about what's that guy? Oh, I can't think of his name right now. Who did the original The Batman? The director.
Tim Burton.
Right, Tim Burton. Who said he wasn't a Batman fan.
Yeah.
And he wasn't a comic book fan at all.
Tim Burton?
And he was just busting on it. He's like, why are you fucking doing Batman, you asshole? And so, yeah, to hear that, then that's kind of...
No,
wait, Tim Burton said that?
Yeah. No. Kevin Smith Tim Burton.
About Tim Burton.
And also, no, Tim Burton has said that. Tim Burton doesn't have any particular love of Batman. Mm-hmm. Tim Burton looked at... The Batman movies are a tribute to German expressionist film. Like those are film nut movies. No, I don't think you need to have like this lifelong love of He-Man to like take a paycheck and try to make an interesting thing out of it. No, I don't think that at all. I don't know what Kevin Smith's gonna. So I don't care if Kevin Smith ever hated He-Man or not. Nor do I particularly have any interest in this new cartoon. But more power to it.
You know what? Well. I believe he didn't like He-Man back then, and then he got this gig, and they're paying so much money, and he loves He-Man now. I mean, that would happen. If you gave me millions of dollars, I would love My Little Pony or whatever.
But Kevin Smith is our generation, right? So how did he not love He-Man back then?
I guess he was just into Transformers.
I didn't like He-Man.
You didn't like He-Man?
No.
I mean, I said, She-Ra was my jam, but
I had a He-Man electrical brush, and every time you pushed, and it was on like a charger or something, and every time you pushed a button on the charger, it would like say this like He-Man poem, and I didn't do anything else. And I'll tell you what, I could still recite it. I'm not going to.
Do it.
I could still recite it, and I had this when I was 8 years old, when I was living in Hartford.
John, you have
the
to now.
He-Man poem.
Do I have to?
Recite it. Recite it.
Yeah. All right. I'm He-Man. I'm strong as can be, and I brush my teeth with regularity. Once in the morning and once at noontime, and once before bed, so my teeth will shine. You'll remember this poem if you rehearse, and you'll be like the masters of the universe.
What? That's awesome.
And I played that and it wouldn't do anything else. You just play it over and over and over. And my dad got so frustrated, he almost broke it. But then at the last minute, he just took the batteries out and threw them out the window.
None of us are going to top that right there. So final thoughts. Jason, Masters of the Universe, Dolph Lundgren, final thoughts.
It was surprisingly not too bad for a canon film.
Excellent. Yeah. Very good point.
It sucked the least out of all of theirs that I've seen.
So, Jen, final thoughts.
Well, I already kind of said mine, better than Jiu-Jitsu, but also I want a She-Ra movie.
Yeah.
Who do you want to play She-Ra?
Me.
You, of course, obviously. Yeah, the obvious choice.
There's a way to cast right, Jen, and that's the right casting. Jules, final thoughts?
Yeah, best canon film. Is it the best Golan Gobis or whatever the hell the name is film too? Probably the best one. That's not saying anything, but
it's not the best.
That's not saying.
Film. They did Delta Force.
Okay, all right.
We're watching Delta Force
I don't
in
remember
this
Delta Force, so I
household,
don't
just
remember.
FYI.
Right, you can confirm. You can tell us whether or not that's better.
I also get a kick out of how in these canon films, like in Firewalker, when they found the treasure, it was like all plastic dollar store, party store stuff. Skeletor mask was a party store Halloween mask for $1. You know? They just keep getting away with that.
Did anyone see the canon documentary?
No.
It's so worth watching.
Oh,
I
okay,
could
we
not
should probably
recommend
watch.
it. I forgot the title. Google it, but man, it is awesome.
Dang. John, final thoughts.
Cocaine's hell of a drug.
Hell of a drug.
I mean, I don't know. I think we missed our time, guys. I think with a little coke, we could have gotten we could have got a meeting with anybody.
Right? Imagine if we were adults in the 80s. Wow.
I think $50 worth of cocaine could have got us $30 million funding for a movie in the 80s. That's what I'm just saying. Magical time. But
dang. And
there it is.
so
whose week is it this week?
I do believe it is Jules.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Well, that's just it. Wait, let's keep it.
So, what lost media do you want to do this?
Do we want to do the next one in person?
Yes.
Okay.
In person.
Okay.
In person.
So in that case, I'm not even going to say what the movie is.
Ooh.
Oh, fuck.
Oh, how are we going to do that? And so, all right, so let's talk about this, everybody. So the next time, it's going to be a completely off-brand episode of A Dangerous Podcast. We're going to do it's going to be Jules, it's going to be a reaction
in
video,
person.
Right?
Oh,
we'll do a normal. We'll do a normal show
live. Is that what you mean?
Yes,
by
we'll
in
do
person?
some of that, but then afterwards, we can do a normal show afterwards where we actually talk about what the hell we just saw. But we can actually have some reactions, because I think we're going to need it with this one. And there is no way, I thought of this from day one of this podcast to watch this, because it is beyond forgotten. But there was no way I was going to make us watch this while we're all sitting at home by ourselves.
Okay.
No, not at all.
So it's, can we say that next week we have a mystery date?
Indeed, we do.
Man. Segue. I feel like this is a setup. I feel like Jules and his robot goons are gonna attack us.
Because we're so trusting. We come from a culture that knows nothing of guile or deception.
I'm completely trustworthy. You know, I would run in Central Park and with Frank Langella all the time. So
Okay, well, guys,
trust me.
Thank you, all of you, for coming out here tonight, taking your time, talking about Masters of the Universe. It's been another great Dangerous podcast. Have a good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Albert.
Good night.
Good night, Gareth. Good night, John Boy. Good night, Ian.
Good night.
Good night, dogs that I'm
Good
around.
night.